This video starts with a mystery. In 2011, James and Teresa Arnold moved to a farm in Butler County, Kansas, just north of the town of Potwin. It was a quiet town, a small town, the kind of town you'd go to and think, gee, this town sure is small and quiet. A few days after the Arnolds moved in, though, two sheriff's deputies showed up looking for a stolen truck. The Arnolds found this odd, as they hadn't stolen a truck, and famously, police never make mistakes. Still, they didn't think much of it. But police kept showing up, looking for various stolen items. So did FBI agents, looking for runaway children. The IRS sent agents claiming the Arnolds had committed tax fraud. Ambulances searching for suicidal veterans would barge onto the property at night, waking them up. They got threatening phone calls from people who claimed the Arnolds had scammed them out of money or stolen their credit cards. Sometimes they'd find total strangers angrily searching through their barn, and one time they found a broken toilet on their driveway, seemingly put there either as a bizarre, confusing threat or a bizarre, confusing gift. So why? Why were the Arnolds undergoing this Kafkaesque torture? Comment below if you figured it out. Your prize is increasing my comment engagement. Also feel free to comment whether or not I used Kafkaesque correctly, because I'm pretty sure I didn't. In order to understand the answer, we need to talk about MaxMind. Despite sounding like a PBS series about a kid whose superpower is math, MaxMind is actually a company that specializes in geolocating IP addresses. Over 5,000 companies, plus a slew of government agencies, use MaxMind to figure out where people are based on their IP addresses. IP addresses, if you don't know, are strings of numbers, or in some cases numbers and letters, that are unique to your computer. The same way a physical address allows your home to receive mail or Amazon packages, an IP address allows your device to receive email or desperate Amazon attempts to make a new Game of Thrones. The thing is, while IP addresses are really good at communicating where your device is within the internet, they aren't really designed to communicate where that device is physically. That's why IP mapping companies like MaxMind have to figure that out for themselves, gathering IP location info through everything from sophisticated methods like buying data from smartphone apps that track a phone's GPS coordinates, to desperately sketchy methods like war driving, where they send a bunch of people out in cars to find open Wi-Fi networks and capture their IP addresses, like a slightly more depressing version of Pokemon Go. Then, people, companies, or agencies go to MaxMind's database and go, hey, where's this IP address? And MaxMind looks at all their data and goes, here, probably. The thing is, despite their best efforts, sometimes MaxMind can't narrow the location down all that much. Maybe they can only figure out what city an IP address is in, but nothing more than that. Or maybe they just know it's somewhere in Texas. Or in some cases, all MaxMind knows is that the IP address is in the United States. So what do they do in that scenario? Well, the way MaxMind was designed, it still had to spit out coordinates. So to indicate all we know is it's in America, MaxMind decided to just send users coordinates that are in the center of America. Except not exactly, because the exact center of America has these long, ugly coordinates, so MaxMind changed it to the short, sexy coordinates 38 degrees north, 97 degrees west. Normally, what you should do in a situation like this is make sure those coordinates are in the middle of a lake or something, so that it's clear to people you aren't actually trying to provide them with an actual exact location. But MaxMind, being a poor, naive, multi-million-dollar tech company, didn't think of that. And you'll never guess what just so happened to be on the exact coordinates of 38 degrees north, 97 degrees west. The Arnold's farm. Well, actually, you probably did guess it was the Arnold's farm. It was pretty obvious from the build-up. It turned out there were over 600 million IP addresses that MaxMind showed as coming from the Arnold's home. So when the FBI was tracking the IP address of a kidnapper, or the IRS was tracking the IP address of a fraudster, or some sad, lonely man was trying to figure out what monster broke his brand new toilet, they would see that the IP address tracked to the Arnold's farm, and instead of realizing that it was MaxMind's way of saying, all we know is they're in America, they would assume that farm is where the IP address was actually coming from, and go there in the middle of the night to wake up the Arnolds to question/harass/provide unnecessary medical care to them. The crazy thing is, the Arnolds had absolutely no idea why any of this was happening for years, until a reporter named Kashmir Hill constructed a database of locations that had multiple IP addresses mapped on them, noticed the Arnolds had a bonkers number of them, and then called the farm to basically be like, hey, just curious, has anything weird happened to you lately? To which the Arnolds replied, is that a question or a threat? After learning what was going on, the Arnolds sued MaxMind, who promptly moved the default US location to the middle of the lake with no nice families living in it. But seeing as a lot of their customer companies don't update their data regularly, the Arnolds still live in a tech-induced hellscape, which brings me to our sponsor, Meta. Nah, I'm just kidding. Our sponsor is Fabulous, which is actually designed to, among other things, help you escape the digital hellscape. I don't know about you, but I very often have trouble regularly doing the things that I know are good for me, but Fabulous makes it easy. When you download the app, you'll take a really easy quiz that asks you things like how much you sleep or how easily you're distracted, and then it'll ask you what you're hoping to improve on, like productivity or mindfulness or eating better, and then works by giving you little nudges and dopamine hits to kind of trick your brain into doing the things you want it to do. I personally have been enrolled in a productivity journey, and one really simple thing it's helped me to do is make to-do lists, which have actually had a huge impact on my ability to get things done. Whether you're hoping to sleep more, get off social media more, be more productive, or stress a little less, Fabulous has a program for you, and you can get started with 25% off a premium subscription by being one of the first 500 to sign up by clicking the button on screen or heading to the link in the description.